All right, problem number 5 says that there is a line that goes through these 2 points, and we need to write an equation for a line that goes through this point and is parallel to the line that goes through those. So we're gonna have to write an equation. To do that, we're either gonna need to use this form or this form. And you'll notice that no matter which one of these we use, we're gonna have to figure out the m value, and the m value is the slope. So when I know that I need to write an equation, I know that no matter how I do it, I'm gonna have to know the slope. So before I do anything else, I'm gonna take these 2 points and I'm gonna find the slope of those 2 points. So that's gonna be y2, there's our slope formula right there. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. All right, so this is our x1, y1, this is our second x, this is our second y. Okay, here we go. So y2, 3, minus sign, y1, 5. x2 is 1. Then the formula says to write a minus sign. And now the formula says to write our first x coordinate. Our first x coordinate is -2. This is another one of those times when we have 2 negatives right next to each other. The first negative came from the formula. The second negative came from that right there. Okay, so let's keep going. So 3 minus 5 is -2. And a minus and negative is the same thing as a plus. So if I have 2 negatives right next to each other, I can just turn that into a plus. 1 plus 2 is 3. Okay, so I know that the slope of our line is going to be -2/3. And we want an equation that goes through this point and it is parallel to this line. Okay, so if 2 lines are parallel, the thing that makes them parallel is that they have the same slope. So if these lines are going to be parallel, this line will also have the same slope as this one because they're going to have the same slope. So this new line is going to have a slope of -2/3. Okay, and then we know a random point. So this is the equation that uses slope and a random point. So I'm going to use this equation and I'm going to put that point in there. So the 3 is an x1 and the 4 is our y1. Okay, so we've got y minus y1. So y minus y1, so y minus 4 equals, now it says to write the slope. And if it's parallel, it has the same slope. So I'll just write the same number down, -2/3. And then it says to write parentheses x minus x1. So parentheses x minus sign. Okay, our x1 was 3. Write an equation for the line. That's the equation of the line. We've done it. All right, on to part B. So this time we want it to be perpendicular to the line, and we want it to go through this point. So being perpendicular means we have to make a little adjustment to the slope. So if we have a slope of -2/3, and we want it to be perpendicular to this one, there are 2 things you do to get a perpendicular slope, okay? So the first thing you do is you change the sign. And then the other thing you do to make something perpendicular is you flip the fraction. So if we want a line to be perpendicular to one with a slope of -2/3, then to get our new slope, we need to change the sign. So this one is negative, so our new one will be positive. And we need to flip the fraction. So 2/3 will turn into 3/2. So do you see how the sign got changed? The first one was negative, the second one's positive. We changed the sign, and we flipped the fraction. 2/3 became 3/2. So for our new equation, since we want it to be perpendicular, we're not going to use negative 2/3. This time, we're going to use 3/2 as our slope, okay? So, and we know a point is -5, 7. So again, we're going to use our point slope form because we have a point and we have our new slope of 3/2. So we're going to do y minus y1. So y minus our y1 this time will be 7 equals our slope. So equals our slope. Our new slope is 3/2. Then it says to write x minus x1. So parentheses, x minus, because the formula says to put a minus sign there. And now it says to write our first x value. Well, in this one, our first x value is -5. So a -5 will go here. And again, we have two negatives in a row. So we shouldn't write our final answer like this. We should make that look a little nicer. So let's go y minus 7 equals 3/2 x. And if we have two negatives right next to each other like this, that turns into a positive. So plus 5. This is just a nicer way of writing it. So we're going to write this as our equation for this line.